Now, the rest of the story.
Well, I'm waiting on Ryan to get back. The cows were let out to the first cow pasture the other day just because I had them locked in through here, which isn't that terrible, but with over an inch of rain, well over an inch of rain if you figure from when we first started getting all of this rain, it's actually kind of soft out here right now. And then you take all the rain plus the dry dirt that's now mud and then mix that in with some manure and you've got a mess. So having the first cow pasture opened up for them again, it did have a bunch of regrowth in it, and it did take them a little bit more time to finish up these bales we're putting in for them. But the goal here is once we get through harvest, which is, you know, a pretty good goal in itself, and letting the cows back out in the field, there should be a fair amount of feed out there. They'll be able to graze for a while, because for the amount of rain we've had, it jump started the grass and the alfalfa up here, that you give them another month or so and there's not much real chance for any frost in the forecast. So a fair amount of growing is happening right now. But I got to keep some feed in front of these guys because I don't need them tearing up the fences more than what they typically do. Parents are sitting really well on calves. I mean, I'm pretty sure we were only running on one bull last fall when we had the bulls in with these guys, and as of right now they had like 4 calves in 5 days, and they are literally on the tail end of when these cows could be calving. And for next year, I mean, the bulls were in clear up till about the 1st of January last year, just because of my inability to get the cattle moved around like I needed to. And this year I'm planning on having them out. At the very least, I'm pulling out the 2 red yearlings the 1st November, and with all these later calves we're having right now, I'm probably gonna leave on the other 2 older bulls for another 15 to 30 days to try to do some cleanup on some of these late calving cows. We're actually seeing a pretty good assortment of black white face, red, and then black calves. Oh well, I mean, at least you got something to sell, right? Then we have all the heifers that'll be dropped in that they should be getting bred for next year, and we're gonna have quite a few cattle running around here before we know it. And it's amazing. They hear that skid steer, which, yeah, he's coming back. It rings the dinner bell for them. When we used to run the silos and feeding silage, you'd turn on the silo unloader and it was almost instantaneous. You look up the lane and then you'd see just a whole herd of cattle coming, because it's dinner right now. And this is second cut grass that we just made not that long ago. And this is probably one of the last times we'll be scraping this up before the pile gets hauled out. At least I'm kind of hoping. It's probably a lie I'm telling myself. Rain makes grain, but it also makes a mess. You get a bunch of water running down through the lot like this when you're feeding cattle, and you get a lot of muck. And we're gonna scrape it up here. Probably not do the whole lot. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But all this is gonna eventually end up back out on the corn stalks eventually. But cows need feed, and having them in the lot like this means it's kind of like a low-key freestall setup where you have to scrape it out every day. Granted, for us, it's not scraping it every day. It's just you got to do it periodically. Now imagine how much we had to clean this up if it was a wet year and it rained every other day. That's kind of what we've been in with the weather pattern we've had. It's pretty much been raining every other day. Still got hay down on the valley. That's not even low-key, that's high-key infuriating, but it'll be a salvage operation at this point regardless, because need the feed. Looked at it. 2 days ago, and it actually is keeping fairly well for being on the ground for over a week and a half. And I'm hoping that by the end of this week we'll be able to do something with it, and not really planning on wrapping it like with the inline wrapper. I'd be happy with just getting it dry and maybe incorporating some molasses or something onto it, just to make sure we're keeping some feed value there. I'm very grateful that we ended up making those 50 bales of dry material we could the other day. Look at these turds. They see one open gate and they think it's just open season to head for the pasture or head for the field. Come on, guys. Got some fly issues we got to deal with, don't we? Oy. Yeah. They hear that skid steer and it's the dinner bell.